Every forest needs a tallest tree, and I think we found ours with probably the most impressive shaft of lumber that Mount Mansfield has ever seen.
It's Sunday morning on CBS, and here again is Lee Cowan.
That's Owen Wilson, channeling a familiar big-haired TV painter in his new film, Paint. Wilson talks with Ben Mankiewicz about a career he says he never could have put on canvas.
Yeah. Rembrandt would be, he could be like Sinatra.
While the Hammer Museum in Los Angeles is an unlikely haunt for a Hollywood star,
A Van Gogh.
Owen Wilson is not your average A-lister.
Now look at this color here. Yeah, there's something that inhibits me from talking about a painting on camera.
Right,
because I can't get over that.
In person or on screen,
You'll show my novel to Gertrude Stein?
that self-effacing charm is undeniable.
I even started to say brushstrokes, and I was like, don't say brushstrokes.
At 54, Wilson continues to carve out a varied movie career.
Do you, some guy, take Kat to be your lawfully wedded wife?
Okay.
As a romantic lead, in action movies, and his signature comedies.
Have you even shot one of these things before?
The whole 17 years we've known each other, I've been sneaking off to go on little hunting trips around the world. No, I don't even know what the quail is.
Whether as an uninvited guest with Vince Vaughn in Wedding Crashers, or engaging in a dance-off with Ben Stiller in Zoolander.
Just splash it onto there. Don't worry, it's not rocket science.
His latest is Paint,
It's harder.
PBS Burlington.
an offbeat comedy where Wilson plays a painter hosting a TV show at a PBS station in Vermont.
Carl is one-dimensional and very sexist. You know I don't care what people say about me.
The work and the success remain a bit of a surprise to him.
I definitely consider myself lucky. Making a living doing something creative, that seems incredible.
Incredible, but not improbable for a kid raised around the arts in Dallas. His mother is a photographer. His father, like Wilson's latest character, has a PBS connection.
We have to move right into our programming, which is, after all that really counts.
Running the first PBS station in the States to air a show featuring a certain British comedy troupe.
He puts on women's clothing and hangs around in bars. He's a
They were the first station to carry Monty Python. Years later, I met Terry Gilliam, and he said, we're incredibly grateful your dad gave us a big break.
Wilson never thought about acting in school. School, in fact, was a bit of a challenge. His high school expelled him.
I got kicked out for cheating in geometry. I was the only kid that was caught, that was kind of called in.
Wilson could have saved himself if he'd been willing to identify the other kids involved.
You wouldn't name names.
I didn't name names.
So off he went at 16 to the New Mexico Military Institute.
I did pretty well. I got good grades, and like all these things, it ends up being a better story.
He ended up in college at the University of Texas, where a friend from military school introduced him to another student.
Without that thing happening, then, Wes and I probably don't become friends.
Wes is writer-director Wes Anderson, who became Wilson's roommate at Texas and his lifelong friend. They've made 8 movies together, including The Royal Tenenbaums and The Grand Budapest Hotel. Not long after college, they co-wrote their first feature, Bottle Rocket, with Anderson directing and Wilson playing the lead.
I did Bottle Rocket, and people started hiring me, and it was like, well, it took a few movies before I could sort of accept or say, I guess this is what I do. I'm an actor. I guess I'm an actor.
As an actor, Wilson, with his unique, boyish good looks and those blonde locks, soon morphed into a scene stealer prone to ad-lib, like this bit here in Meet the Parents with Robert De Niro, who was clearly impressed.
I'd love to find time to do some volunteer work. Just the other day, I saw this golden retriever that he had like a gimp with a paw was hurt, and it broke my heart.
Owen Wilson is entirely comfortable discussing his characters. Talking about himself is a different story.
Why are you guarded with your emotions? Has it always been that way?
I think just growing up in Dallas, to have said you wanted to be an actor and be in movies would have sounded, yeah, okay, yeah, me too. And then I want to go win the lottery after that. It would have just sounded ridiculous.
That guardedness is understandable. In 2007 came a widely reported story that Wilson had attempted suicide. He doesn't discuss it publicly, but he has said that his family played a big role in his recovery. His older brother, Andrew, moved in with him for a bit after he left the hospital. He's still clearly a big influence.
That's a great feeling when you've got some backup. And my older brother has continued always to be kind of, somebody who's helped me a lot.
The Wilson brothers, Andrew, Owen, and Luke, also a successful actor, are still close.
It's like that Paul Simon song, I'm with my boys, my troops, late in the evening.
Right. And what draws you to places like this?
There is something about going into a museum that is just sort of a little bit meditative. It's like going to like a church or a cathedral. You kind of feel good afterwards.
The museum brings him peace of mind and perhaps a little inspiration for his latest film.
Is that Rembrandt? Well, this reminds me of that app where it matches you to an old classic. It's never very flattering. And I'll be like, really? That's the likeness for me?
I mean, the hair. Carl.
The hair. That's Carl Nargle. Yeah. Carl Nargle.
Nargle is Wilson's character in Paint.
That tree is probably too tall. Brace yourself, you are going to get some calls.
Clearly inspired by Bob Ross, who hosted a PBS painting show for 11 years, starting in 1983.
Let's have another one. Maybe he lives. Soup right there.
His slow, soothing voice and permed hair have remained ubiquitous on the internet.
Did you watch Bob Ross?
Yeah, but I can't quite do an imitation. Just take it all in.
Wilson didn't get Ross's voice down, but he got Ross's essence, and he made the character funny.
How is everything? It's good. Good thing.
Which is what Owen Wilson has been doing since he was a kid.
You're entitled to your favorite TV show. It's what makes this country great.
You think you're a good actor?
I don't think that I'm, good. I do think there's some, I think there's some parts that I think I can play well.
Yeah, well, I got news for you. You're a good actor.
Yeah.